And we've had a very long period of upcycle. The next 12 months will be, I think, difficult for everyone. And I think, when Berkshire Hathaway had their annual meeting, Warren and Charlie actually said, like, hey, this year, the Berkshire companies are going to make less money. They're very well-run organizations, and I think that's just generally true for the economy. So, it's also important to remember that there are good times and there are dark times, but then the good times follow the dark times. So, my advice would be, don't look at the markets for the next 12 months. If there's a dip, buy the dip. And I think you will not be sorry, because there's just generally a sort of there's an economic cycle to things, but things come back up. So my guess is tough times for a year. Like I said, just my guess. But then Tesla will emerge stronger than ever, and the long term, if you say like net present value of future cash flows, will be incredible, in my opinion.
What do you think the most important thing would be, or what will be the biggest growth factor, in your opinion, from those segments? Or maybe you can list those segments. I mean, what do we have? The car business, of course.
Yeah, another good question. I think long term, the biggest one is certainly going to be in the AI realm. So it would be Optimus and full self-driving. So version 12.3, I don't know if your audience has been watching the videos, but it really does seem like probably the first one that I would call a breakthrough. It's so much more human-like. It is not perfect yet. It has work to do, but from a pace of innovation standpoint, this should really be the one, since there's no humans that have to actually write the heuristic code, the manual code. It's just the cameras take in the video data, it's sent through the neural nets, and then it outputs essentially human-like behavior. So it's going to be able to iterate much faster. So that's one, and I don't think I really need to touch too much on why having a vehicle that can drive itself is going to mean massive things for Tesla's market cap. So that's a big one. It'll totally transform transportation. It's really that simple. And with that, it's going to be, you can almost copy and paste it to other places in the world. Now, there are some different rules in certain places and regulations that have to fall into place. So it's not going to be as easy as I'm making it sound, but it's not at all like the competition that uses LiDAR and radar and all these different sensors that are more expensive. And they have to have perfect maps of the world. But then if there's construction or the world changes, then they have to readjust and do all of that. But Tesla, with its cameras and its brain, it just learns, right? It doesn't need to adjust or remap or do any of that. So they definitely have a big competitive edge there. And I think it's true to say they're closer than they've ever been. So I think the next 12 to 24 months are going to be really exciting for that. When it comes to Optimus, that's obviously a huge call option for Tesla. Personally, I'm not getting too excited for it yet. I just think there's a long way to go for it to prove that it can do real useful work in the real world consistently and reliably. But the progress, again, that they've been making has been really impressive over just the last 3 or so years. But the one thing nobody ever really, some people talk about it, but they don't get excited about because it's not necessarily a consumer-facing product, is Tesla's megapack. Their energy business, the margins are already greater than the car business. They only have one factory that's not fully ramped yet. They're going to have 5 to 10 of these bad boys here in the future, and they're building the second one in Shanghai. I'd imagine the third one would be somewhere over in the EU. But this is another business, again, that like the Powerwall is a consumer product, but the megapack is mostly for utilities or any other company, really. So I think investors don't get as excited about it, understandably so. The software side of that, AutoBidder for the ancillary services and energy arbitrage, is confusing for a lot of people. And so I think they just kind of, maybe don't pay as much attention. But this is really has the potential, even this year, like we're talking over the next 3 to 4 quarters, to really hold up Tesla's operating margin, its gross margin, while the auto business is in this lull and pullback period, thanks to interest rates and, maybe you can argue whatever you want about what they've done with price cuts and all of that. But yeah, so I mean, those are just a few of the big ones out there, you know.
Yeah, I think the megapacks, you've touched on that beautifully, I think is so important because this will save energy grids actually, or energy providers a lot of money, because that if you stabilize the grid, I mean, those peaker plants, or however they are called, I think peaker plants is the German word here. They're mostly gas powered, for example, or natural gas powered. They are polluting a lot, and they are easy to start, but not so easy to stop again. So these, for example, could be replaced at some point. And I also think it's such an advantage to produce cars with batteries, and even if the demand for cars goes lower in the next years, then they could harness more batteries for, or have more yields for the megapacks actually, so they can just put them into a different packaging and sell the same battery to a different customer base, where they have 30% margins on their on the megapacks. I also agree that the megapack factory is a big deal.
And just not to cut you off, but just to share one example for your audience of why it's really proof that Tesla does have a competitive advantage with the megapack. So a chart came out the other day talking about how much revenue these battery energy storage projects in the Texas market were earning. So Tesla has one project, it's called Gambit. It was the #1 project in terms of revenue for 2023 out of 80 different projects. So I think the average across those 80 projects was about $196,000 in revenue per megawatt. Tesla was up around $300,000 per megawatt. So of course, the size of the project is going to play a role in that data. But the point is, with Tesla and their auto bidder software, they really are above the competition, and that's just one market. But so it's not like they're just a player. They're like one of the players. I think globally they have around a 15 or 20% market share in that battery energy storage, again, with one factory that's not fully ramped. So
okay, that's crazy.
You know, it's like there's good things coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. I think what's also interesting, I've have a tweet here that or surfaced again, which I found very interesting. It was from the Investor Day again, talking about the macroeconomics here. I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think this highlights it beautifully what's happening. And Elon, I mean, it's not surprising that he already talked about this.
Remember that the economy moves in cycles.
Can you hear this?
And we've had a very long period of upcycle. The next 12 months will be, I think, difficult for everyone. And I think, when Berkshire Hathaway had their annual meeting, Warren and Charlie actually said, like, hey, this year, the Berkshire companies are going to make less money. They're very well-run organizations, and I think that's just generally true for the economy. So, it's also important to remember that there are good times and there are dark times, but then the good times follow the dark times. So, my advice would be, don't look at the markets for the next 12 months. If there's a dip, buy the dip. And I think you will not be sorry, because there's just generally a sort of there's an economic cycle to things, but things come back up. So my guess is tough times for a year. Like I said, just my guess. But then Tesla will emerge stronger than ever, and the long term, if you say like net present value of future cash flows, will be incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this sums it up pretty good. What do you think about his comments on the Investor Day from last year?
Yeah, I'm really glad that he said that, because it's turning out to be very true. And I've said before that most investors, they'd be better off not paying attention. Maybe not most, but there's some that are struggling and maybe get too sucked into the day-to-day stuff. They'd be better served just not paying attention. Like, for 2 to 3 years, just letting it be and living their life, enjoying time with their family, whatever they like to do. But yeah, again, it's true. You know, we're in this time where I think a lot of it has to do with expectations. People came into Tesla maybe after that historic run thinking it's just going to keep going up without understanding that auto is a cyclical business. And yes, Tesla Energy is becoming a bigger part of the story, but Tesla still derives about 90% of its revenue and profits from the auto business. So again, it's just, you can't build these megapack factories overnight. It takes time to scale them up and to establish the supply chain. And it does take a while for these projects to actually come online. So Tesla can sell them, but they don't actually get paid until there's certain milestones that are hit, being connected to the grid, actually, you know, beginning to operate. So again, I just think it's such an opportunity. I wish more people could see this as like the chance of a lifetime, right? When you go shopping, you don't want to go buy a new car or clothes or shoes when it's like the highest price. You want to buy it when it's on sale. It should be the same for an investment. So if you really trust in the company's future, which personally I do, and I think that's rooted in incredible evidence, it's okay to, like, I hate to say root for, because I know people experience pain when the stock price goes down, but again, like, it's an opportunity, right? And so you're acquiring the same company, actually a much better company than a few years ago at lower prices. And for me, sign me up for that 10 days out of 10, you know?